Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum. Peace be unto you. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to look at casting lots, the subject of casting lots, beginning with this article from whatchristianswanttoknow.com. So the question is, what does it mean to cast lots? Is it okay for us to do this today? What does the Bible say about it? So why did they cast lots? Was it a form of gambling? Absolutely not. In the Old Testament, when the Jews had to make a decision, they cast lots to decide. I'm going to say the Israelites, not the Jews. This was also practiced by the pagans, as we read about in the story of Jonah. When the lot fell to Jonah, they knew it was he who was the cause of the storm. It says here there are at least 88 accounts of casting lots in the Old Testament and 7 times in the New Testament. It was something that God did not condemn, but there is no need to do so. Okay, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Why would they do it at all if it wasn't needed? Obviously, there would be another way to determine things, but in ancient days, God allowed the Jews and King Saul to cast lots to find out who was guilty. And I believe even Moses, if I'm not mistaken, cast lots. King Solomon knew that casting the lot puts an end to the disputes and decides between powerful and contenders. Okay, casting lots was not restricted to the Old Testament. There you go. That's proof positive. We should still be doing it today. Why? Because when they were seeking to have Yehuda or Judas Iscariot replaced, they cast lots for them. And the lot fell on Matthias. He was added to the 11 apostles. So if it was obsolete, by that time they would have stopped doing it. They've been doing it throughout Bible history, throughout Israel's history for at least 2,000 years, possibly more. I believe Moses did it, so we're looking at 6,000 years, or at least 4,000, 2,000 to 4,000 years. In any case, it's continued throughout history. It should continue, in my opinion. And I don't see any scriptural prohibition against casting lots. Because just to be frank, if there was, Yeshua would have said, don't do this, this is wrong. He didn't say so. Even the early New Testament believers, the ecclesia, did so. So in the time in which the Bible was written, there was nothing sinful about casting lots. And even to this day, I'm going to add. It was the way that Elohim allowed important decisions to be made, and ultimately even the lots fell where God willed them to fall. Proverbs 16:33. Let's look that up, just to keep this honest. So in the spirit of transparency and honesty, just to look up everything that well, not everything, but at least what seems to be relevant. 18:18, first of all. Masoretic says the lot causes contentions to cease and parts between the mighty. It doesn't say that in the Septuagint, so I'm going to throw that out. It says a silent man quells strifes. So it's a silent man, not the lot. Okay, so that one's debunked. So will 16 also be debunked? Because they're using this as evidence that we should be not that we shouldn't cast lots, but the cot, that's a bed, okay. The lot is cast, where the lot is cast is according to the will of Elohim, the God of Israel. 16:33. Let's fact check that too. Verse 33 in the Masoretic reads like this: the lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of Adonai, of Yah. All evils come upon their ungodly into their bosoms, but all righteous things come of Adonai, or Yah. So no, neither one of those support casting of lots. Not saying that shouldn't be done, because we know by the practicality of it, it was done. We don't need these 2 verses to say to prove that. We just need the historical records of the scriptures themselves. Lots were also cast to determine priestly duties in the temple. 1 Chronicles 24:5. Okay, you know what? Let's look that up, because so far they're 0 for 2. And we have not gone to Chronicles yet in this channel. So we have a little sneak preview. First Chronicles 24 and verse 5. So are they actually doing this? They were thus divided. Thus were they divided by lot, the governors, etc. He divided them according to their lots. So yeah, they did cast lots to determine positions, duties, to determine scapegoats, and we covered that recently. Yes, there was a lot, one lot for Adonai, one lot for the scapegoat, and to divide the land as well. Numbers 26:55. Okay, let's look that one up too. Again, just want to be transparent, want to fact check, be a Berean. Nothing should get past us and go over our heads, and just we accept it without proving it first in the scriptures. So verse 55 is a long chapter. I'll go right to the bottom. The land shall be divided by lot. Wow. The land shall be divided to the names by lot. So this is more specific, saying that every lot, again, we haven't really defined what that means, but just spoiler alert, they're little rocks. They're going to have names on those rocks of every tribe, the 12 tribes, and that's how the land was to be divided, according to Numbers 26. Okay? All right, so moving on. What exactly did casting lots involve? Okay, so we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Casting of lots is not what most people think it is, or what I thought it was. I thought it was rolling the dice. It is not that. Although you could try to use that and see how things work out. But I'd rather stick to the scriptural methodology. So casting lots were actually white, smooth stones put into a cup. There was usually one stone that was black, so the expression today remains today of being blackballed. When they cast lots, each person took a stone out. After it was shaken up, the cup was shaken, and the one who received the black one was the guilty party. If it was a dispute and they were settling it, the same process was involved, and the guilty party got the black stone. For decisions about priestly duties or dividing up the land, they would frequently have a symbol or a name for the tribe or the priest that was mixed together with the others, whoever else is part of that decision-making process. For example, let's say we have 12 tribes, so we have 12 rocks, and then you shake it up and everyone grabs their rock. Or if we have, let's just say, for example, 4 priests, and we're determining who's going to be the one who's taking whatever position, whatever duty. You have their 4 names, you divide those 4 stones, and the one that draws out the stone, I suppose here, the black stone, maybe, perhaps that's how it was done. So a decision was based upon that. There was no chance for the lot being cast for the wrong person or the wrong tribe, because even Elohim is sovereign, even over the lots. Okay, so that's a visual depiction of what the stones would look like. One is black. So this opinion goes a little far. I don't agree with this, because they're basically saying whatever they did in the times of the patriarchs, whatever they did in the times of Yeshua is obsolete. I beg to differ. No. If it was, Yeshua would have said, stop casting lots, it is demonic, or it is not the way to determine anything, but we know in the scriptures that is not so. Okay, and these 2 scriptures, Proverbs 16 and 18, do not support casting lots, but everything else does. Everything else does. So let's look at the, okay, we know about Jonah. Let's look up Jonah, just for the sake of fact-checking, 1:7. Jonah 1, verse 7. And then there's one, I said they cast lots for the disciple, but I'm just going to accept that. They said, everyone to his fellow, come, let us cast lots. Okay, let us cast lots. Yeah, so they did. They cast lots that fell upon Jonah. Okay, so there you go. Proof positive. So they just reason out just human reasoning. We don't do this anymore, so don't do it. It's basically like saying, oh, we don't do this anymore because in our modern day we have the internet, we have cars, and we don't have to wear tzitzit anymore. We don't need fringes on our garments. We don't need to only wear cotton and not mix our cotton fabric with wool. We don't need to wear phylacteries and so on. We don't need to live as Yeshua lived, essentially. That's what they're saying. So I hear one thing, we don't need to do this anymore, but I'm actually hearing another thing, saying that we don't have to do as Yeshua did. And personally, I go with what Paul said. The Apostle Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Mashiach. And even Yeshua said to follow me, to do as he did. He was a religious Yehudim. He wore the tassels. He wore the phylacteries, most likely. Okay, so we're going to get to the next one, next article here. It is just a short ditty. I want to point out, at least in this source, that they mention that casting of lots was mentioned 70 times in the Tanakh and 7 times in the Brit Hadashah. So 77, according to this source, gotquestions.org. The other source says 88 and 7. In any case, it's a lot of times, and it's enough proof throughout the different eras to prove, yes, this is still, I believe, in effect, and Yeshua did not say anything against it. There was no prohibition to say this is now obsolete, because I believe it isn't. Why are we better than the patriarchs? Are we better than King Saul? Are we better than Yeshua and his disciples, that we don't use casting lots anymore? I beg to differ. We aren't. Okay. This is the last article we're going to look at. It is from Wikipedia. Sorry, but Wikipedia can come in handy in some instances, and this is one. So clarimancy. It is a form of sortition, which is the selection of public officials and so on. Casting of lots, in which an outcome is determined by means that normally would be considered random, such as the rolling of dice, astragallomancy, but that are sometimes believed to reveal the will of a deity. In ancient Rome, fortunes were told through the casting of lots or sorts. Okay. In Judaic and Christian tradition, casting of lots, goral in Hebrew, Greek, kleros. So that's where we get clarimancy from. It is mentioned 47 times in the Bible. Okay, so we have different numbers being thrown around. Some examples in the Hebrew Bible of the casting of lots as a means of determining God's will. Leviticus 16:8, this is for Yom Kippur. Numbers 26:55, how they divided the land. Joshua 7:14, determining the guilty party. Joshua 18, dividing the land once again. First book of Samuel 14, we're not there yet in our series, but to determine who broke the oath. Wow, spoiler alert. Didn't know he broke an oath. Jonah, we read that already. And then they use these relevant to divination. So they're saying this is divination. I don't believe it is divination. Divination is when you're consulting a spirit that is other than Adonai, other than Yah. And that's not what is happening here in casting of lots. Okay. So Deuteronomy 18, let no one be found among you who performs distributions in the Masoretic, but in the Septuagint it does say pharmakeia, not distributions. It's the one giving out poison, or in the modern form of pharmakeia would be like narcotics and hard drugs. Thank you, Joel Richardson, for that enlightening message, by the way, on pharmakeia. In the book of Esther, Haman casts lots to decide the date on which to exterminate the Jews. Wow. First Chronicles 26, guard duties are assigned by lot. In Christian doctrine, the most significant ancient Hebrew mention of lots occurs in the book of Psalms. Right, they cast lots for his clothing. This came to be regarded as a prophecy connecting that psalm and the one that follows to the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, since all four Gospels tell of the Roman soldiers who were casting lots to see who would take possession of his robe, the clothing, the purple robe. A notable example in the New Testament is in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 1, verses 23 to 26. They determined the replacement of Judas. Again, if it was wrong, they would have had the ability to know it was wrong. The Holy Spirit, the helper, the comforter, the however you say it in Greek right now, I forgot right now, Parakletos, I believe, would have opened their eyes and convicted them. This is wrong. This is witchcraft. No, nothing of the sort. They did it, and they determined it was Matthias or Barsabbas. Interestingly enough, the Eastern Orthodox Church, I believe that's the Greek one, if I'm not mistaken, they still occasionally use this method of selection. In 1917, they decided the Patriarch of Moscow, okay, so that's the Russian Orthodox Church, not the Greek one. The Coptic Orthodox Church uses drawing lots as well to determine their pope. Interesting. The German Pietist Christians also drew lots. So this continues today and still useful, determining positions and so on. So personally, I would not only cast lots for those big decisions, but to do a best, 2 out of 3 or maybe 3 out of 5, to really make sure it's really the will of Adonai. Don't just, gamble, for no lack of a better word, but be really sure, because you can ask and pray, Yah, help me to see what is your will, and I will know if I pick this 3 times in a row, or best 3 out of 5, or best, 7 out of 10 or whatever. But you can determine those just to be more certain. Okay, Germania, they also cast lots as well in the Germanic tribes. So yeah, it was not exclusive to just believers. It was even in the pagan cultures as well, in Asian culture as well. It says they used drawing of lots. Let's see, how did they do it though? So they used coins or sticks of yarrow, which is a stick of a plant, flowering plant. South India, they toss seashells. West African culture, they also do this as well. Oil palm kernels, okay? Alright, I'm not sure how this is done exactly. It's a little cryptic. Pounding ekin. Transferring kernels from one hand to another. And then there's a pattern. Okay, so that one does sound a little sorcery-like. Less of, chance. A game of waltz is a form of cleromancy by the Micmacs. How do they do that? They play it with a bowl, 6 bone dice, counting stick, 3 sticks are grandmother's, 1 to the grandfather. Okay. So in closing, I'm going to just show you this video. How is casting of lots? What does that look like? Okay. So let's just watch this. If I have sound there, but anyway, I'm going to just watch it. So they're putting their hand in the bag without looking. And they're going to grab a stone as well, everybody else. And they're going to turn their hands over. Whoever's the black stone is the guilty party. So, makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. But I would shake the bag first. So he's asking, why have we stopped doing this? Should we be casting lots? That's the question. It was God-driven. Yeah, 100% agree. There you go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this person is basically saying that's obsolete now because the Holy Spirit makes it obsolete. I disagree with that notion because in the Old Testament or the Tanakh, did not Samuel have the Holy Spirit? Did not Moses have the Holy Spirit? And to say that they didn't is very dangerous because I would say they did have the Holy Spirit. To say that only the apostles in the New Testament church had the Holy Spirit, no one else, is that's not only speculation, but I think it's a dangerous point of view to take because you're saying that they didn't know what they were doing, and not only they didn't know what they were doing, you're saying that even Yah Elohim doesn't know what he's doing because they're just going to leave it up to chance. That's not what it's about. You're submitting all your destiny basically is in the hands of Yah. You're not just saying, okay, I'm gonna stop this video now. So yeah, I completely disagree with that notion that the Holy Spirit just suddenly makes it obsolete. Not so. I don't believe the Holy Spirit makes it obsolete because the Holy Spirit literally is a spirit that comes from Adonai, comes from Yah, and you are leaning towards his abilities, towards his making things possible. It's not us determining, okay, I'm going to just open this bag and look for the black stone. No one is looking at whatever they're taking out, whatever their lot they're casting for themselves or that they're taking for themselves. No, it is completely done. People would say by random chance, but no. Adonai, Yah himself, he has power over everything. He will determine not only the first casting of lots, but even the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh, until there is zero doubt as to what his will is. But it's important that we don't just cast lots for trivial reasons or petty reasons. These are things that are very important that have to do with loving him, loving each other, decisions that will impact our lives in terms of the way we have a relationship with Elohim, the Elohim of Israel, and the Elohim, not the Elohim, but the Elohim of Israel, and even with each other, believers and non-believers, with family. This can be done, but I believe one of the most important things, one thing that was not mentioned in the casting of lots, part of the formula, it should be prayer and maybe even fasting. You really want to make sure you're doing this in the right spirit for the right reasons, and you're doing this not only in a way that's pleasing to Adonai, but for his purposes. You want his purposes to be done. So you're saying, okay, let this lot be cast according to your will, not ours. So, and then you just pick it out, and then the lot falls where it falls, as we've seen it done throughout biblical history. For the scapegoat, dividing the land, for whoever is going to be carrying on duties, whoever is guilty. I mean, this is serious. Whoever is guilty, that could lead to their death, maybe even. And even taking on responsibilities like being one of the disciples who's going to be the one to replace Judas. Was it Matthias or Barsabbas? So that is not, it's not something to take lightly. It is something that we should seriously consider, and I believe we should continue doing moving forward into the future, until Yeshua himself tells us stop doing it. Because he has not said anything of the sort. Adonai never said anything of the sort in the Tanakh, nothing in the New Testament. All we see throughout scriptures is supporting this practice being supported, and not just being supported, it's being done for big decisions. But I lean more towards towards caution than just, happenstance, just letting things fall where they let the chips fall where they may. I'm more of the, pray fervently, fast if needs be, and don't just do one casting of lots, do multiple. Best 2 out of 3, or best 3 out of 5, or best 4 out of 7, or better yet, best 7 out of 10. If it's not 7 out of 10 minimum, then don't go forward with it. That's even more safe. So I don't think that's faithless. I think you're ultimately you're putting your hands and your trust in Adonai to control the casting of the lots, to control the results, to determine what that would be, and you pray always according to your will, Father, and not our own will. So that's all I have for you in this video of casting lots. I hope this was helpful. Personally, I would and will do it. I just need smooth stones and one black stone, and then decisions to be made. What do I need to do in my life, Father? So thank you very much, beloved, for your time and attention. And I hope this brought clarity to this topic. It certainly did for me. I had zero clue what this meant. Going into this video, I initially thought it was rolling of dice, or maybe the 10-sided die, like in Dungeons and Dragons, they have a 10-sided dice. But now I know it does not have anything to do with dice, or even, where roulette, for instance, that they do in the casinos. No, it is specifically drawing out rocks from a bag, and depending on how many participants, you have rocks, and then one is black. So that's all for this video. Once again, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Eirini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, and peace be unto you. Maranatha.